Okay.
Can you teach me how to catch a man?
What are men like? They like women who are feminine, who are pretty, who are charming, all the things that you are,
Okay.
and Ali. So you've got to really accentuate those things. That's the key thing. You know, there's that balance between being too easy to, you know, to sort of pick me, versus being a little bit like holding back a little bit. So you've got to find the balance with that. But I think in general, really, it's about accentuating the femininity and allowing that to exude.
Okay. So question. Versus no, because I do get called a pick me up.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm conscious I'm using pick me probably. I'm not using it quite in that context. I'm just talking about the kind of, we all want the thing we can't quite get, don't we? Do you know what I mean? And guys are like that as well with girls. So I think there's a perception that a guy will just take anybody and it doesn't really matter as long as she's female.
yeah.
But actually, what I found is that guys will, if the girl gets too much attention too quickly to her front, that could be a little bit of a turn off. Whereas the girl who's a little bit more aloof, a little bit harder to get, that kind of works pretty well.
Well, I think men are hunters, and so they value the things that they have to work for. But if you make it insanely easy for him, there's no value to that.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, there's a reason all these girls have all these books on like playing hard to get and shit. Like, there's a reason it's there. It's not because it doesn't work to some level.
No, well, there's playing hard to get, and then there's being a warlord. Like that's a bit much. That's a lot.
You've got to, it's striking that balance right, because you've got to like, you don't want to be a, you know, you don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to be somebody who's just like, you know, you're pushing back ridiculously hard, because otherwise the guy's just going to be like, listen, I'm not going to bother. You know, it's not worth my time. What's kind of interesting is that in the male dating space, I think what guys have had to do is learn those same tactics, because, like you say, there's been books for women about this stuff for ages, hasn't there? How to be aloof, how to, you know, like don't call him back immediately, all that kind of stuff. And guys have had to learn the same thing, because guys also make the same mistake, don't they? They're too needy, they're too immediate, they're too like putting themselves on a plate for her immediately. So I think both genders have got to learn that.
Don't you think, like, if you're always in it for the chase, like at some point someone has to fold?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That, like, at some
But that's the fun. That's the fun.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like a lot of times, like, guys that like the chase, them like too much, like they just don't want to, like they just aren't in a place in their life where they want to settle down. Would you say it's true? This is just like observations, because if you like the chase, like at some point he's gonna get you or not get you. Like at some point he gets you, and when he gets you, like you staying or what?
Well, I guess that's always a risk, isn't it? In the sense that any relationship, you know, because like you've got that sort of anticipation at the beginning, and then you guys do get together, and you are in a relationship, and then there's that danger of sort of, if it loses that energy that it had from that initial chase. But I think it kind of depends on the guy, really. I mean, what kind of guy do you want to be?
I would like someone with the same like values as me.
Okay.
I can't date liberals. I can't do it. I won't. Like anything with the inch of feminism in it, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I like tall guys. I know every girl does, but I'm tall, so I feel like a guy that's good with kids too.
Yes.
I want a lot of kids. So
the reason I was asking was because if you think about the archetypal sort of player kind of guy, who he's in it for the chase and then he's just going to leave like the next day, it sounds like you're not really describing that kind of guy, if you see what I'm saying. So I think you're probably going to be all right, but I would still say I think even the most husband-friendly sort of dude who's going to be that perfect guy, I think he still wants to feel a little bit of the chase. He wants to feel like he's won you over. That makes sense.
A retired player?
yeah.
Yeah, a guy that's hung up his jersey. Yeah, okay, that's what I did. I feel like it was very effective.
No,
I feel like
I don't care if you fucked a lot of girls. Like, I don't. What is that?
it's very honest.
I said nothing about body count.
No, I think that it's an effective strategy. You know, you meet a wholesome Chad, he's a little bit older, he's tired of the headaches, he's like, you know what, at this point in time, a wife and kids does not sound too bad. And you just swoop right in, and you have the age benefit.
Yeah, the big thing though, I want a guy that wants a lot of kids, because I feel like having a lot of kids grounded me.
Yeah.
Like in my family, like I think I appreciate all the siblings, so I want.
Yeah. So you need somebody who's got a bit of, you know, they've still got something in the tank. It's interesting how men and women have this difference of opinion in terms of body count, though, isn't it? Because, like, I mean, would you say body count is an advantage for women, or is it more something? Is it more neutral?
No, I don't think body count is an advantage for women, like if a woman has a higher body count, just because it takes time to get to a place where you're trying so hard to act like a man sexually. You're just going against nature, and eventually it's going to bite you in the butt, and then it makes it you struggle with dopamine, I think, in a sense, right? If you're a woman that gets instant attention and you can't hold off on getting in the bedroom, and that's what a lot of how to get a partner is, dopamine hacking, because people like that reward for the long effort, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
You're talking about a woman being aloof, you're talking about a man being aloof, and I think that that's just getting into the dopamine wiring that we're so fried from our phones and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's bad if a guy has a high body count. I mean, I wish I cared. As a Christian, I wish I cared, but I don't.
I don't care at all.
You don't care. But that's...
I mean, I have a line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to your friend Sterling.
Oh, he's crossed it.
That, I would say as long as you didn't put anything on the internet, internet, too far. As long as it's not on the internet, I wasn't there, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Out of sight, out of mind. If you've got like a whole bunch of, hundreds of YouTube videos sort of celebrating you, then that's maybe...
that's too far for me. Just because I would be like, Dad, and I just think he would be disappointed.
Don't you think it's kind of an advantage in a relationship if a man has experience, because we don't get away with much as women, or like we don't get over on them? They're not mystified by what's between our legs.
Well, that was sorry, I misphrased the question, but that's kind of what I was asking really. So for a guy, if you meet a guy and he's got a high body count, is that like an advantage as far as you're concerned, or is it like a neutral one?
So for me, in my experience is very subjective. I think that it's been an advantage. Well, I'm married, right? So my husband, he had his experience in a frat, he was like buff and he was a veteran. And then so when it comes to me and trying to take advantage of him, which I think people just try to do in general, like I just don't get away with much. But men that haven't had experience, they let me like run riot. And I mean, I shouldn't be that way, but I think women want to know that a man isn't going to cave to you, because if he caves to you, the woman, how is he going to protect you from the world? I like wholesome chads. I feel like it's good to get a retired playboy. I'm sorry, I think it's effective.
What sort of avenues would you look at? Have you looked at the dating apps? Have you looked at, I mean, that's another whole kind of thing.
I used to have a Hinge. I never really used it. I'm not gonna lie, I was the problem on the dating apps.
Really?
Yeah, like, because I would just like look at them and not really, you know what I'm saying? But they kept me matching with fans, and I was just like, I don't know, I deleted it. I don't have it anymore.
You see, that's an interesting problem, isn't it, in your situation? Because obviously, it's like a public figure.
Yeah.
You're going to get that sort of interplay. But I think there are some apps. I mean, there's Raya, for example, and there's some other apps that are sort of slightly more like exclusive, if you know what I mean.
How do I get on Raya?
I think you need to be recommended, but we can find out more about that offline. But it's funny because I was reading an interview earlier with that singer Carly Rae Jepsen. I don't know if you've heard of her. They called me maybe.
Come back.
That girl, yeah. And she was saying that she went on the dating apps during kind of like the COVID period, and she was saying like she went on a sort of an entertainment industry one because she was worried about like meeting fans and stuff like that. So there might be ways around it.
So you're saying you're open to dating YouTubers?
No, I mean I'm open to dating apps. It was just like, okay, I'll tell you what happened. This made me delete the apps. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, there's someone I matched with, and I was like, I wasn't responding that quick. I'm a busy girl. You know what I mean? Like,
very busy.
I'm a busy girl. And then he gave me this voice note about how disappointed he was in me.
Really?
It was like this line. He's like, you advocate for men, and you're just like the other girl. And I was like, I can't be on here. And then I swear to God, this made me delete it.
Because you turned him down, and then he was like, this is how you advocate for men. But like advocating for men is not like, I'll date you and sleep with you. Get out of here.
I don't know. I was feeling emotional that day, so I just deleted it.
That's really bad though. Because but you don't want to, like, for any guys watching, you don't want to respond like that anyway. Because I mean, that's like, you can't. You've just got to take it on the chin. You can't like start castigating the woman because she hasn't, responded, or she hasn't gone along with what you're saying. I mean, that's just like crazy, isn't it?
I wasn't. Okay, you know what? That's not a real thing. I wasn't that interested. I'm gonna be real.
All right. So what if there's, and I'm sure you do. What if you had somebody who's a real fan of your channel, and he's a massive Chad, and he's a decent.
Oh, I'd be down.
Would you be down?
Yeah, I'm not even against dating fans. The issue I've had with like guys that know my channel is they come in and it's so weird because they know everything about me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like, oh, how was that? thing you did 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago, you know, like how that, and then you just, I have this problem where like, with the fans, it's like I talk too much about my like, I don't know how to put it.
No, it's called parasocial relationships. Yeah, so they watch your content, so they think that they're your friend. But I think that it's something that we just can't psychologically handle. But that might be something good for you to do a video on, because there are more and more like female social media influencers, and men might want to date some of them. But how do they navigate that? Like, don't just assume because you watch my content that like you know every single detail of my life.
Well, out of interest, do you get many propositions from people who watch the content? Do you? Yeah. do you, Ali?
Do I? Well, I'm married, so
I know. But
do I still get propositioned? Like occasionally, but it's never really smooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess your whole channel is like I'm married. That's kind of a lot of what you're talking about. Whereas, but with you, do you get a lot of guys who are like slipping into the?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of overwhelming. Like, it's like, I just get a lot of messages in general. It's not always propositions. Like, sometimes it's just I love your content. But I don't know. Sarah was telling me that is a guy propositioning if he's messaging you that.
Probably. I mean, you know, it's some kind of hope. Some kind of prayer. You never know. But they could be smoother with it. Like just saying hello. I appreciate your work. I think there's more you could do. I appreciate your work. I'm gonna be in London next week. If you're interested in getting coffee sometime. Yeah. Like that's different. That's smooth.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably. I feel like I'm probably the problem because either so. No, I'm just being honest. There's so many messages. I'm like, these can't all be bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably me.
But what about in the past? What guys? Well, without going into too much personal details, but what guys have you dated? How did you meet guys in the past?
Usually through mutual friends. That was like the main avenue. It would be someone. A lot of times, it would just be someone I was like friends with first.
Yeah.
And I know guys hate that route.
Wow, that's.
But
so it works. The friend zone. Just hang in there, guys. Just hang in there.
I'll be honest. Usually it was they friend zoned me.
They
friend zoned me, and then I got out of the friend zone. I felt more like.
That's quite an important distinction, isn't it? Because there's guys going to be like, oh no, I've been in the friend zone for 4 years. I'm just going to hang in there.
No, it was like I was down immediately, and then you'd be like, nah, I'm good.
Well, you know too. I think there's a lot of assumption that women put men in the friend zone like maliciously or intentionally. I would say like majority of the time it's intentional, but sometimes you put a guy in the friend zone literally just because you don't know any better, and then like a couple years will go by and you're like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. I need to pull this man out right now. Why did I do that? I've seen that happen in a couple of
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you don't remember being like an 18-year-old idiot? You just like didn't notice the guy was hot? Because it took me until I was 25 to realize older men were hot. Like I'm sure someone's in the friend zone on accident, but it's not most of them. It's not most of them. Yeah.
No, not
I
me.
disagree. I disagree.
No, if I put you in the friend zone, you're there for a reason. There's some guys where like maybe I was too nervous to make a move. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, if he went there, I would have been down immediately. But
well, that's the other thing, actually, isn't it? So for girls going on a date, and you've met the guy somehow, you're on the date. Then there's this whole issue of like who makes the move. Now, really, it's got to be the guy, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be the guy to make the move. So that's then a thing that girls have to presumably sort of like. Have you guys been on dates? I mean, prior to being married, have you been on a date and then you're waiting for the guy to make the move and he just doesn't, and then.
Oh, it's worse than that.
Really?
It's worse than that. You'll have your shirt off, and then they're like, "Is this okay?" And you're like, "You know what? Never mind. I regret even entering this room. I'm out."
I'm afraid to even say this because I just know everyone's gonna like say that I'm capping. I know everyone's gonna, but I swear to God, like guys don't try to sleep with me.
Really?
like I swear to God, I've been on a date and I would have been down, and you just never tried. I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know. Like, there's certain guys where they'll take me out to lunch or dinner or whatever. And I'm not even sure if it's a date. He pays or whatever, but then he like leaves, and I'm like, oh, maybe he just wanted to get to know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I think guys find it hard. I think one thing you can do as a girl is you could, towards the end of the date, you could say, hey, we could listen to some music or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's acceptable without being too overly sexual. You could just say, hey, listen, we could chill, we could listen to some music or whatever. I think you can say that. I mean, it should be the guy really who does it. But if he's not doing it, because if you could get the guy back to like your place or a private place, then obviously it's more likely something's going to happen.